I saw the headline, The Athletic, Andrew Marchand. TNT Sports plans to match Amazon's media rights package, forcing NBA stare down. Now, Andrew doesn't do the headline, so the headline to me was a little confusing there. This doesn't sound like it's a good day for TNT if you're headed for an NBA stare down, but let's bring in Andrew Marchand to explain. Does your story match the headline and vice versa?
Yeah, I think it does, Dan. TNT is matching Amazon Prime Video's completed contract with the NBA. They feel like this is TNT. They have the right to match based off of their contract right now, which gives them back end rights, which means they can match another deal. The NBA's contention, I believe, they haven't said this publicly yet, is going to be no, you can't. We want to go with Amazon Prime Video. It's a streaming deal. That was a linear cable TV contract. And so this could be headed towards litigation. So I believe the stare down headline from my editors is accurate.
Okay. Is this a good day for TNT?
Is it a good day? I wouldn't say it's a good day, but I'd say that, they're playing their last card, and in any negotiation, leverage is the key. And so this is a chance to have maybe some leverage, especially with the NBA likely not wanting to go to court. I don't think TNT wants to go to court. So, at the worst, at the best, the NBA says, yeah, it's your deal. We're going to pass on Amazon to go to TNT. I would find that highly unlikely to happen. But could they say, well, yeah, you did have these back end rights. We disagree. We want to move on. We want a divorce. Here's $100 million. That's for instance. So could they get something out of this? Yeah, I think that's possible. And so I think, is it a good day for TNT? I don't. We'll have to see. But it's a move that I can see why they made.
How did we get to this point in the first place?
Well, the NBA, I don't want to call it a mistake, but in the contract they have now, they put in back end rights, which gives networks like ESPN and TNT the rights to match conceivably in a new deal. What's happened is, those deals were made a decade ago. Streaming wasn't what it is now. So there's an argument to be made that these contracts are completely different. And so the NBA wants to move on. I mean, this is a weird, like, if they end up with TNT, it's a weird circumstance. It's like, you telling your wife, I want a divorce, but she's like, no, 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 we have an agreement. I'm going to stay together for another 11 years. So I don't know how that actually plays out logically, but to me, it really right now is a legal question. I've talked to some people who've seen the contract. I don't know the exact language in the contract, and they say that, if you're TNT, you can look at it one way, the NBA can look at it another way. Can they find, some kind of settlement? I'd be very surprised if Amazon doesn't end up with at least some sort of package. And I'd be a little bit more surprised if TNT has a full package of games. Now, can they get something out of this? This is why they're playing this card.
What leverage does Charles Barkley have?
I mean, he has all the leverage in the world. I know Charles is on your show a lot. I talk to Charles sometimes as well, and he has said that he wants to retire. Now, most people don't think he will do that, but he has a long-term contract with TNT Sports, and he's down in Atlanta, and he loves the people there. So, they have a lot of things that he could still do for them. The NCAA tournament is something that's still on TNT, and TBS is air along with CBS. He's involved with that. They have a lot of other entities where they could use Barkley. Could they, in this, what's going on right now between the NBA and TNT, could they get highlights where you preserve inside the NBA so it keeps going, or some, a slimmer package where you continue with inside the NBA? I look, the calculus with inside the NBA. I don't think that really matters that much to the NBA's executives, because first off, these are 11-year contracts. How much longer is inside the NBA as it's currently composed going to go on for? Maybe 3, 4 more years, 5 at most, probably. And so I know it's not really in the equation, but Barkley, if he wants to work, he's going to get paid a lot of money. Think Romo money, if he wants to keep going, or he can continue to work at TNT where he has a long-term contract.
Yeah, but he's far more valuable than Tony Romo is. I mean,
He is. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, look, the Romo contract that changed the industry. The reasons for that happening was Monday Night Football was a disaster, and the big thing was the rights negotiations for the new NFL deals were coming up. ESPN Romo was the biggest thing since John Madden at that point. They wanted to steal him. It was right before the pandemic. So the reason why that deal happened, and now it led to Tom Brady and a $375 million contract. But yeah, you could argue for sure. Studio people, but your nature of your business, talk show people, those are really the most important because they're in terms of financially because they're building the content. The content is the game when you're talking about a Romo situation.
Talking to Andrew Marchand, the Athletic senior writer, covers sports media. Looking at these deals, we talked about streaming now and the importance of streaming, where we didn't know anything about streaming 11 years ago. These leagues have to kind of project out of what is going to be new. Do we have any idea what is going to be new as far as consuming this in the next, 8 to 11 years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, ESPN is kind of about to lean in really heavily to try to move their business model, more towards streaming. They have a venture called Venue, which they're teaming up with Fox Sports and with TNT Sports, where you can just get those three platforms in one place, and then they're going to go on their own. So they're leaning in. Amazon, obviously, is a streaming only platform. They have the NFL. NBC's deal, the way it's going to work is that Peacock is going to have exclusives on Mondays. Tuesday is going to be on national TV on broadcast, and then Sundays after the NFL is going to be on broadcast. Then they're going to have a plethora of playoffs, and Amazon and NBC will rotate in terms of conference finals every year. ESPN has it almost every year of their 11-year deal. So yeah, that's where the NBA wants to go. I mean, that's clearly they want Amazon's market cap. They want streaming because that's where the future is. Cable's being left behind. And so, yeah, this deal is going to be different. I mean, regardless of what happens with TNT and the NBA, this is going to be NBC's back. I mean, that's the one thing that's like basically official now. With yesterday, with Amazon being the target for TNT, the NBC is back. You're going to have the John Tesh song. You're going to have Tarico as the lead play-by-player, Noah Eagle as the number two. They'll get some analysts, and away they go.
How good a summer has it been for the WNBA?
I mean, it's been amazing. Their timing's not perfect because, as part of these NBA deals, the WNBA is also involved. And so, the networks, they see the growth. I mean, the WNBA, I saw some early ratings from the All-Star game. They're eye-popping from Saturday night with Caitlin Clark. So, if this was 2 or 3 years down the road, I think they'd be in an even better position. Executives aren't really going to pay more for what might be. They want what is. And, the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, and we can talk about everything else. Caitlin Clark's the difference, everybody. And she is driving this league, and it's going to make other teams more popular and the sport broaden its base. But yeah, it's going to see an influx. But, the one thing I think is always lost in these discussions is when we talk about the major leagues, the NFL, the NBA, baseball, we act as if like they just started and they were juggernauts. And if you go back to Magic Bird, those games were on tape delay, the finals before Magic and Bird, and then it grew into Michael Jordan. And the league at that point was about a quarter century, which is where the WNBA is now, and that's where you saw the exponential growth. We had the legends of Cousy and Pistol Pete and Wilt and all those people, but they wasn't as big a business as it became. And I think the WNBA might be having that same sort of maturation where you look at where it is in its history.
Can the NFL be overexposed? Like, can we have too much?
It's right now it's proven no. There's no evidence to think that we don't want more NFL. Now, this year the ratings will likely be down in the NFL because of the presidential election. That's what we generally see. But I think that will just be a hiccup because of the focus on politics. But I don't think so. I think with fantasy, like, look, there's no graph that goes just straight up. And will football change? I do think the thing that to watch is just the NFL's investment in flag football, which I don't think football is still going to be tackled, but it's just the games change. And does the audience not like that as much if it keeps changing and, becomes a little bit less, it already has a little less Jack Lambert, Dick Butkus era. That's the one thing I think that could change. But I feel like with gambling, with fantasy football, with people have such passions for their teams, and also it's the perfect TV sport. It's once a week. I always say this about baseball. If the Yankees played once a week, what would the ratings be? They might not be football ratings. They'd be pretty high. And so I do think it has the advantage of just the perfect once a week in terms of your favorite team, and only 3 hours is really a perfect model these days.
Great to talk to you again, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Andrew Marchand, the Athletic senior writer covering sports media.